Here's a story. Your grandmother called your mom and tells her how she's being harassed by her property manager. Your mother asks you for a ride, and y'all head over to the building to rectify the situation. Little did you know, it was an ambush, and the property manager's friend runs up and is now chest to chest with your mother. You go to defuse the situation, then she starts hitting you in the face, and what you thought was her fists was actually a knife. Blood spills everywhere. She goes to stab you in the back of your head, and your mother blocks it with her hand. You fall back, grab the gun off your hip, and discharge your firearm for the first time in your life, killing the property manager's friend. Your mother rushes you to the hospital where you're met by police. They arrest you, your mother, and your grandmother with a $1 million bond. Trappin Anonymous.
Mid-surgery, after she did my lips, she started on my cheek. The police came, they put me in the back of the car, and they took me to the detectives unit. Now I'm drugged up off these meds from surgery. They literally took me out the hospital room in a hospital gown and some socks. That's all I had on. And then they questioned me. They kept questioning me. And then they took me to jail.
What's good? My name is Chris Dallas, Trappin Anonymous. Welcome back. Welcome back. Shout out to everybody's help keeping the movement moving. Really do appreciate everything that you guys have been doing for us and helping the community grow. If you have a story, if you're sitting there listening and just think that your story needs to be heard, please DM me, email me at Trappin Anonymous, at Trappin Anonymous on Gmail as well, Facebook, wherever you can find me. Just write me. I will reach back. Give me a little bit of time, but we try our best to make sure that everybody is heard. Do remember that the stories that you hear reflect real life. We're here to educate, inform, and keep your little homie up the streets. It's Trappin Anonymous. My name is Chris Dallas. That's good. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. I would like to start with your name and why you think your story is important.
My name's Zabria Hendon. My story is important because I went through something traumatic. Not just me, but me, my mother, my grandmother, my entire family. And I feel like it's a story to be heard because now I'm at a point in my life where I'm comfortable to open up about it.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Bring me to the day you go to the leasing office. Um, Sort of what was that day like? What brought you to the leasing office? And we can start with the events there.
Well, the day for me, it was a normal day. It was my off day. It was I was supposed to go to Miami that weekend, and I was at home. Now I was at my mom's house because prior to that, my apartment had flooded, so me and my daughter had to move back home. Like I said, it was a normal morning. She came in the house from work, and she was loud, and that's why I woke up. She was on the phone with my grandmother. They had a conversation. She asked could she use my car. I had things to do that day, so I was like, well, I could just kill two birds with one stone. We can just go together. Me thinking we just finna go pick up my grandmother, and I can go get my tire fixed, and I can go finish shopping for Miami. Turned into a very tragic situation that happened that day.
Okay, so your mother grabs you, says, "Let's take care of this for grandma," and you agree on what happens next.
So we get to my grandmother's apartment. The door to her apartment is like glass doors, so you can see straight through the doors. It's when we arrived, my grandmother was standing outside with her dog on the sidewalk. My grandmother came up to my car, to the back window where my daughter was in, and she was talking to my mother through the window. I wasn't paying no attention. I'm on my phone trying to do some online shopping, and I looked up and I looked at the door, and there was a lady standing in the door. And when she saw my grandmother come up to my car, she walked from the door to the leasing office. I know where it's at because I've been in here multiple times. So, and again, it's glass doors, so you can see straight through the doors. She walked into the leasing office. My mom and my grandma was having a conversation. I honestly can't tell you verbatim what they were talking about because I really wasn't paying attention. All I know is my mom got out the car I see her get out the car, and it's an instant reaction. I ended up getting out the car too, and we went inside the leasing office.
So you go inside the leasing office to sort of, I don't know, rectify a situation between your grandmother and
The property.
the property. Okay, the property management.
Yeah.
Apparently, they've been putting eviction notices on your grandmother's door that weren't real eviction notices. Like, and how did that work?
Well, so from what I found out, the eviction notices weren't real. They were just going around harassing people. And a lot of people were moving out on those fake eviction notices. But a lot of people who were on like my grandmother who's on like Section 8, CMHR or whatever, they were more of the people who were like complaining and fighting, like, why am I getting evicted? And I'm sure at that time they didn't know that those evictions were fake. So I'm guessing that was what it was.
What happens when you walk into the office?
We walked into the office. My mom walked in first. I was behind her. My head was in my phone still. I was on my phone. My mom walked in. I'm standing in front of the desk by the door of the leasing office, and my mom is standing on in front of the desk, but like on the side of the desk. The property manager is sitting in her chair behind the desk. The lady that was in the door is up against the wall, and it's two men in here. My mom said, she's Diana Hendon's daughter. She's trying to figure out what's going on. And the property manager just hopped up. She hopped up out her chair and she started yelling, "Get the fuck out of here. I don't know what the fuck y'all want from me." Just going crazy. So me knowing my mom, I'm like, it's not finna be, nothing anymore. Be just like something verbal, her fighting for her, trying to figure out what's going on with my grandmother. Standing there. So again, my phone was in my hand. So when I looked up, I saw my mom and the property manager are now like chest to chest. So my reaction, because my phone in my hand, I set my phone down and I ran over to get my mom, just to like diffuse the situation. So at this moment, I got my arm in between them. I'm trying to back my mom out. I'm backing her up, and the man jumps in front of me and he start backing my mom out. My mom is walking backwards out the door, and the man is like, walking her out. And then I remembered my phone. So I turned to get my phone. It's literally like 2 steps. I could turn, grab my phone, and be out. I turn to get my phone, and the lady that attacked me jumps in my face. So at this moment, I'm like, why you in my face? And I was like, I'm just trying to get my phone. I said it to her and I said it to the guy that was in there. I'm like, I'm just trying to get my phone. I said it multiple times. I even signaled, like, I'm just trying to get my phone. So I tried to step around her to get my phone, and she pushed me. So then I'm like, she's an older lady. You could look at her and tell she's an older lady. So I'm like, well, why did you push me? And then she pushed me again. Her hand came out her pocket, and I thought she punched me. So me thinking I'm being punched, my reaction is to fight back. Because why are you putting your hands on me now? In reality, instead of me being punched, I'm being stabbed multiple times in the face. I'm not knowing at this moment that I'm being stabbed. I'm just thinking I'm being punched still. So I'm still trying to fight back. All I know is I turned my face, and that's how she stabbed me in my cheek. I'm screaming at this point because now I could feel it. And the blood is dripping. It's going everywhere. It's just blood everywhere. So now I'm screaming, and I'm screaming loud. And the only person that came to try and help me was my mom. My mom come in there. The lady got my hair. My head is down. And I'm guessing she must have tried to stab me on top of my head. And my mom put her hand over my head, and she stabbed my mom in her hand, going up her hand, like drug the knife down her hand. So it's like a really open wound at this moment. So she still got my hair. Her and my mom is tussling over the top of my head. I'm trying to get away. I'm still screaming at this point. I yank back. Mind you, I'm licensed to carry. I carry it everywhere I go. I yank back, I fall to the ground. And at this moment, I looked up, and this is when I see the knife. And this is when I hear the property manager in the back, yo, kill that bitch. So now I'm in my head, like, okay, like Zabria, think, like defend yourself, because now the lady is trying to get through them to get to me with this knife in her hand. So I instantly reached for my gun and I let off a shot. When I let off that shot, my mom pushed me out the door. And when she pushed me out the door, we run to the car. Blood is just falling everywhere, up the sidewalk, up to my car, in my car. I get in the car. My mom runs around. She get in the driver's side, and she takes off.
You told me that as you went into the car, you sort of held your face. So your mother didn't even know you were stabbed in the face. You didn't want your daughter to see. I guess the first thing that comes to mind to me is when you open fire, you could have hit anyone, even your mom.
Yeah.
And this was sort of like this reaction to obviously defend yourself because they're trying to kill me. When you get to the hospital, what happens?
So I go into the hospital. I'm holding my face still. I run in and I fall to the ground because at this point I done lost so much blood. I'm dizzy. My face is burning. It's stinging. And I still don't know what my face looked like, but I could feel my lips hanging off. So the nurse come up to me and they grab my face and he looks at me and he says, she needs surgery. That's all I heard was she needs surgery. I've never been through any type of surgery before. So now I'm panicking, like, what do my face look like? I'm scared. So they took me to the back. He said she needs surgery. Then they took me back out to the lobby and they put me in a wheelchair. They got all my information. And then a nurse came back out, came and got me, and she put me in a room and they locked me in the room. I'm trying to get up because I'm still bleeding. They didn't give me anything for like my face or anything. So I'm still like just dripping blood everywhere. I tried to get up to go to the bathroom, and that's when I found out I was locked in the room because the doors were locked.
Why are you holding your face together?
So I'm like pulling on the door and I'm screaming like, can somebody help me? Somebody let me out, help me. So one of the hospital securities came to the door and he's like, what's going on? I'm like, what? Can somebody help me? I'm dripping blood. Why am I locked in here? And then at that moment, the other door opened up, which is the door to the lobby. That door opened up and it was a Cleveland police officer. And he's bringing in my mom, my daughter, and my handicapped brother. He asked me my name. I told him my name. And then he handcuffed my right hand to the chair. My mom then asked him, like, why is she handcuffed to the chair? They didn't give us no information. She tried to call my dad, and he kept taking my mom's phone out her hand. So she tried to call him multiple times. That last time she tried to call, he took her phone from her. So then she asked him, like, was she under arrest? And he was like, no. And she was like, well, why can't I make a phone call? And he didn't say anything. So my daughter had her iPad, and my mom tried to call off my daughter's iPad, and he took my daughter's iPad. And then a nurse came in. My daughter went with me to the room because now it's time for me to get surgery. They started with my hand first because she cut my hand. My hand is split open. And they kept trying to, like, the police kept trying to get my daughter out the room, and she didn't want to leave. So then they finally, like, she left out. And after that, I didn't see my daughter again. So, I did the surgery, I didn't know where they took my daughter after that. Mid-surgery, after she did my lips, she started on my cheek, and they let my mom come in there for a minute. And then I didn't know they took my mom to jail. Thank you. I didn't know they took her to jail, but they let her come in the hospital room. After surgery, the police came. They put me in the back of the car and they took me to the detectives unit. I kept asking, like, where's my daughter? Where's my daughter? At first, they wouldn't tell me. They just kept trying to ask me questions. And I've never been through a situation like this to, like, not to not talk to the detectives, because the police kept telling me, like, they just want to talk to you. So I'm thinking they want to talk to me about what happened to me. So I kept telling them, like, where's my daughter? Where's my daughter? So one of the detectives was like, I'm gonna find your daughter for you. He left out, and like 5 minutes later, he came back and he was like, do you know William? And I'm like, yeah, that's my dad. And he was like, that's who have your daughter. So then that calmed me down a little bit. Now I'm drugged up off these meds from surgery. They literally took me out the hospital room in a hospital gown and some socks. That's all I had on. And then they questioned me. They kept questioning me. And then they took me to jail. And from that day, I was in jail for 10 months.
Did you know at the time that you had killed someone?
No. I thought I was the only person hurt. I didn't even know my mom was hurt. We thought the blood on her hand was my blood. I didn't know anybody was hurt at that moment.
How did you find out?
The next day, when I was able to make a phone call, I called my boyfriend at the time, and he told me, he said, they have you on the news, they have you on the Cleveland Remembrance page, and they're saying that somebody died. And I was like, somebody died? I'm like, who died? And then he said, they saying the property manager died. And I was like, the property manager? I'm confused. Like, I'm confused. Because I don't know anybody. I don't know that lady. I don't know the property manager. I don't know nobody. And I was like, the property manager. I was just like really confused. So it was a day after I went to jail is when I found out somebody died.
How did you feel?
I was scared because now, like, I've heard of stuff like this, watching movies and stuff, but I've never been in a situation where I had to go to jail or been in a situation facing a murder charge. Because literally right after that phone call, I had court, and it was video court, and they pulled me in a room, and the judge set my bond at $1 million, and it was an aggravated murder charge. So my heart sunk in my toes, and all I could think about was like never seeing my daughter and my family again.
It's when you let off that shot. Do you remember your mind state at that moment?
Honestly, I was in a, I went to a protection mode, and it was a different type of protection mode. It was a me and my family about to die. What am I supposed to do? It wasn't like 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 some type of other type of protection. It was something different. And it was just like, Zabria, you have to protect you and your family. And that's just how I was feeling that.
And you weren't able to see where the shot went or nothing.
I saw nothing.
Wow. How long were you in jail for?
10 months. I was in jail for 10 months. I was never offered a plea. to even like if I wanted to just take a plea and go to prison. They never offered me one. It was just you're going straight to prison.
Do you think you would have taken one? In the mindset that you was in?
In the mind state that I was in, and then like what everybody was telling me how prison would be, that I would be able to see my family and they can come visit me, I would have. And then with the aggravated murder charge, it's like that's a life sentence. So a plea, I wouldn't have a life sentence. And then everybody's like, if you take it to trial, whatever, you can get the max, and the max is life. And I wanted a plea.
Sometimes, what the enemy means for evil, God will make for good. I say that because I feel like the judge was sort of trying to be evil and not have that plea come your way.
Yeah.
But you're sitting in front of me right now, so we know, God had other plans. So you're not able to get visitation?
Only like video calls.
Right. But you're not the only one in jail.
No.
Your mother's in jail and your grandmother's in jail. What are they going through?
We all were like going crazy. Because it's like I just had to fight for my life. And now we all got to fight for our life. And it was just crazy because it's like my grandmother wasn't even in the building. So why is she in jail? She served the whole 10 months with me. Me and my grandmother both were in jail. My mother was in jail, but she was able to bond out. But they had put her on an ankle monitor. So it was just basically like she was in jail too.
And how old is your grandmother?
Please forgive me. I think she like 67.
67. Wow. Alrighty, let's pay some bills, y'all. Make this the best season yet with nutritional 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating has never been this easy. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do things that you want to do. With 45 weekly gourmet items on that list, that menu, you will not have a problem choosing something that you're gonna love. Factor got these guilt-free snacks and desserts. Get started at factormeals.com. Use code TRAPPIN50 off to get 50% off of your Factor meal. Factormeals.com. Factormeals.com/TRAPPIN50 off. Y'all already know what time it is. Let's get it. Ma, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Okay, first your name.
Lamika Hendon.
And I want to sort of bring you in at this part because you were the only one that was free. Mom is locked up and your daughter is locked up, and you just bonded out. What was your bond?
$75,000.
Your daughter's bond
$1 million.
and your mother's bond?
At the time, it was $20,000.
So you find the money, and first of all, how did y'all decide who we were gonna get free?
The one that can move the most to act fast on getting money to get representation for all three of us.
So you come home. How long were you locked up for?
5 days.
5 days. You come home and you hit the ground running.
I did.
What was it like coming home on an ankle monitor?
It was scary. I had never been in no trouble. I didn't know anything about an ankle monitor. I didn't want to go outside because I had the ankle monitor on. So it was, I have to be judged by 12, but who's judging me on the outside because of this ankle monitor? So it was hard.
Did you have a job?
I did. I was a bus driver for the city of Bedford.
They put me on administrative leave with pay until my sick time ran out. But I was never fired because I wasn't convicted of the crime.
What's going through your mind with all this weight on your shoulders?
First thing was on my mind was getting my granddaughter. And even though her dad had her, I felt like it was my job as a grandmother to take care of my granddaughter. So that was number one on my mind.
What was that process like?
He gave her to me with no problem. I didn't want her at home all the time, so I enrolled her in school. I had to get a guardianship through her mom, whom was incarcerated, before I can get her in school, which I did a little later than sooner because we had I switched attorneys. I had her a different attorney at first.
So not only are we talking about bond here, we're talking about lawyers.
Yeah.
How much are your lawyer fees?
So the first attorney I had, he wanted $12,500. I had given him $5,500. My attorney wanted $25,000, and then I paid for my bond, which was $75,000, and then I also paid for a private investigator, which was $3,500. So already I emptied my savings account that I had. So the first attorney wasn't working. The thing is, he wasn't present enough for me, for my daughter. He wasn't saying the right things to her. And then one of the things he said to me on the phone was, I'm trying to get her a bond hearing, but other than that, I don't know what else to do. That didn't sit right with me. You're not gonna tell me that. And my daughter sitting behind bars. My mother attorney was pro bono. They were excellent. Excellent. Two of the best that they had. So I immediately, after I had already given him $5,500, I immediately got rid of him, and I went with another attorney. Excellent. And I had to give him $20,000 up front. And I don't know how or where it came from, but I immediately got a check for $15,000. I know where it came from. It came from God. But I got a check for $15,000. Child support. Back pay.
What? Wow.
Yep, child support, back pay. Perfect time. So at the time, me and my daughter was going back and forth on what to do with this $15,000 because we had a bondsman that said he would take the $15,000 and get her out, but we had to pay the remainder, $35,000, making payments. So I knew I couldn't do that. Plus paying this new attorney. Try to get an attorney. So I went to sleep on it. And I prayed about it. And I asked God to send me in the right direction. Do I take this $15,000 and get her a new attorney? Or do I take this $15,000 and try to give it to a bondsman to get her out? And when I woke up that next morning, I knew I had to use that $15,000 for new representation.
Your mom is an elderly woman. How is she getting proper care in a cell?
My mom went in needing 2 hip replacements. Both hips were deteriorating, the right more than the left. They knew this. She kept asking them for better mattresses. So finally, she did run into a good CO, not just a CO, supervisor, like a corporal. And he did get her like a memory foam mattress. But the doctors wrote a letter to the judge and told the judge that she needed to come out of there due to her health, having congestive heart failure as well as asthma, on top of diabetes, on top of high blood pressure, and on top of that needing 2 hip replacements. And the judge said no. He went right over the doctor. So he raised her bond when we went back to pretrial from 20,000 to 500,000. Yeah.
On one hand, I look at your situation, knowing your situation. On the other hand, I look at their situation. Someone lost a life. You told me during court they had so much people there, so much support from family, friends. But you started to notice something as trial continued to go on. What'd you notice?
They started to diminish
Why?
because I believe that they started to hear the lies that were being told, and they knew then that we were fighting for our life. And I even got a call from a young lady that was incarcerated with my daughter that even wrote a note to the judge, whom was the deceased sister, and told the judge to release my mom and my daughter because she knew her sister was the assailant behind the whole situation, and she felt that my daughter should not have been taken away from her child.
Judge ain't budge.
No. He didn't even bring it up, but I knew he had it.
What were some of the inconsistencies from what they were saying in trial and what you knew to happen in real life and based on the evidence?
Some of the inconsistencies were the knife that we were stabbed with was thrown in, it was rinsed off, wiped off, thrown in the garbage on top of white paper.
Can you show that hand to the camera?
So this is my hand. I have no feeling in my hand because I was stabbed down to the nerve. So I don't have any feeling in my left hand, on the top of my left hand. They took the lady's body and turned it around. They moved it and turned it around as if she was running away from the shot.
Because then you can't stand your ground if
Right.
she was running.
If she was running. They got caught because if she was running, she would have got shot in the back and not the chest. They also got caught because the property manager stood on trial and said that the deceased always carries a knife. They also got caught because in the video footage, you can hear one of the maintenance men say, yeah, the deceased, can't say her name, was, she started it all because she started just stabbing on the little one as the big one went out the door, which the big one would be me. It's also said, heard in trial on the video footage of the deceased telling the property manager, Diane, 2 daughters is here. And the property manager say, oh, well, they ain't gonna do nothing to me. And the deceased said, ain't gonna do nothing to me either. And then so she said, bro, bring them in, let's get it on. So there at that point there was an invitation to come on in. But we didn't walk in there for that.
Yeah, you here your mother is getting harassed, getting these bogus eviction letters on the door. You're just trying to go and do what a 65-year-old woman can't do at the time. Which just have a conversation, try to get down to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Let me know what's going on. And y'all inviting us in here for death.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you testify?
I did.
What was that like?
It wasn't scary, but it was hard. And it was hard because they kept showing over and over and over again my daughter's face. And I took that hard, and I still take it hard to this day because I felt like it was my fault that she got stabbed because I'm the one who asked her to go with me. Had she not been with me, maybe it would have been just me or my mom, but she wouldn't have lost 10 months of her life with her daughter. So it was hard, real hard. And I had to see that over and over again.
Why do you think this happened to you? Why do you think this happened to your daughter? You know, I'm a firm believer in, one, everything happening for a reason.
For a reason.
Sometimes we just try to make sense of it. Have you ever sat with that?
I still haven't made sense with it. I've made peace with it. I haven't made sense. I just can't. I just don't see. We didn't know her, and she didn't know us. We didn't know the property manager, and she didn't know us. So for this to happen, what were they talking about to come up with the stabbing? So I don't know.
The judge reads the juror's decision. The only two people left in the courtroom on the deceased's side was her daughter and the property manager. The whole flood of people, all the support was gone. They had realized this case is not what everybody thought it was.
Right.
What the news printed, the murderer, it wasn't what they said it was.
No.
After the evidence, 12 people could sit there and say, this is clearly self-defense.
Yeah.
When they read that verdict, describe to me the energy, describe to me your feelings when they read everyone's verdict.
When they read my mom's, I was petrified. Nobody wants to see their mom go to prison, especially in the health condition that she was in. Right. So when they read the first not guilty, I was overjoyed. The second not guilty, overjoyed. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. All I could say was, Jesus, thank you. Jesus, thank you. Jesus, thank you. And I was squeezing my attorney's hand, and he was squeezing mine. The energy in the room wasn't good on the not defendant, but the prosecutor side. Wasn't good. They didn't like that. We had 3 prosecutors. Then they got to me. First offense, not guilty. Second offense, not guilty. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, not guilty. Self-defense, granted. And self-defense was granted for my mom too. When it got to my daughter, my head just dropped. Because I knew and I felt in my heart that my daughter, one of us was going down. And I felt that it was only going to be her because she the one who shot the gun. But then I said, but God. Because I done prayed and I done hallelujah. And I ain't never in my life caught the Holy Ghost, but I caught it a few times. And that first verdict said, not guilty. And the second said, not guilty. And the third said, not guilty. And then we look up at the judge and his face turned from one side to the other. He was not happy. You look over at the prosecutors, they just threw their papers down. Then you get 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Not guilty. Self-defense granted. And I said, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus. And we was told not to say that in the courtroom. That we cannot say anything about God in the courtroom.
Doesn't it have in God we trust?
It has in God we trust over his head. But we couldn't say anything about God in that courtroom. We couldn't even wear a shirt. I had a shirt that said, put God first. His timing is perfect. And he told us we couldn't wear our shirts.
During all of this, you held a gun to your head.
I did 3 times.
One of those times, your son caught you. What did he say?
He said, Ma, what are you doing? He said, I already talked to God. And you know I don't talk to God, but everything gonna be all right. He said, give me the gun. And he took it from me and he took it and gave it to his dad. And his dad, that was the last time he took it and put it up.
Thank you, Mom. Appreciate you. Watching people go in and out of that cell during your 10 months, right? Because this is just a holding cell right before people go to actual prison, right? It's like this sort of like jail. So you see people come in and out all the time. What was it like for you watching people come in and out all the time? And at what point did you feel just completely defeated?
It hurted for a while because it was like, why is everybody being able to go home but me? And I had to fight for my life. And now I got to fight for my life again. So it was just sad. For the first maybe 3 months, I was very suicidal. But then I had to get it together because I got to get home to my baby. People in there taught me, expect the worst, but hope for the best. So after maybe 6 months, I ended up getting comfortable because I'm here. I had a bond hearing. He didn't care. He wouldn't lower my bond. So it was, and then all the stories I was hearing, the new people that was coming in, they heard of my story. They saw it on the news. They're like, you a murderer. They got you on a murder pod. You facing an aggravated murder charge. That's life. So in my head, I'm like, I'm going to prison. It was just, it hurted a bad.
Was there any confrontations in there? Did you get into it with anybody, or did you kind of just like mind your business?
Honestly, I'm a laid back type of person. I was minding my business, but people clung to me for some reason. I had multiple people tell me I had a purpose, They was like, it's not for the situation, but you serve a purpose here, and it might not even be for you. It might be for somebody else in here that needs you. And it was like I was like everybody's baby in there, honestly, from the COs, the corporals, the inmates. Everybody clung to me. It was mornings. I'm not a morning person, but it was mornings. People would get up, come knocking on my door, like, Bree, you want me to get the shower hot for you? You want your breakfast? Are you okay? Have you ate? Because I went months. I lost so much weight in there. I lost, they said I lost like 65 pounds. They had to put me on prenatals because my vitamins was, everything was low. I was taking Ensures because I was losing so much weight. I wasn't eating. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to go home. So the inmates, the COs, they all would come check on me every day. Bree, did you eat? Making me eat, forcing me to eat. I'm not eating this food. I can't do it. I'm not eating. Then I started getting commissary, and my meal every day would be a Pop-Tart in the morning and some chips at night. That was my first time in life I ever had to watch some noodles get blown up by some water. I was like, I'm not eating that.
What was the first thing you ate when you got out?
We had pizza.
Pizza in your family.
We had pizza.
Okay. So what was the worst part about being in there? The worst.
The worst would be being away from my family and my daughter. I've never was away from my daughter that long, ever. Having to see her through a video call, lying to her because she thought I was in the hospital. Her last time seeing me was a hospital. So we kept that going. She thought I was in the hospital that whole time. So missing everything, her birthday, holidays, her first day of school, I missed it all. And I'm never going to get that time back. So to me, that was the worst.
This might be an odd question, but what was the best part about being in there?
So the best part to me was that I got to meet some beautiful people. And then also, I got closer to God. I I'm not gonna say I was wild or I was just like doing stuff, but I wasn't as close to God as I should have been. Like I would say like I'm gonna go to church and then I wouldn't get up and go to church. But being in there, it isolated me to open my Bible and read and just sit there and get close to him. And it was amazing because it was just like this is what I'm here for. I'm not, because people would ask me all the time, like, Sabria, why do you feel like he put you through this? And I used to be like, honestly, I don't know. But don't ever defend yourself because you're going to go to jail. That was my response to everybody. But then I was sitting in my room, or my cell rather, and I was sitting on the bed and I had the Bible open and I had a book that I was reading open. And I was just laying there and I got like this wind. It literally just passed me. And I just instantly got happy and put a smile on my face. I was happy. I was excited. I called everybody and I called my friend and she was like, I told her what happened. And she was like, Bree, you coming home. She was like, that's God letting you know, stop worrying. You coming home. And I was like, this is what this is. Like, it's for me to get closer and it's for me to share that with other people.
I love that you said that. I really do. You know, a lot of people, I just feel like sometimes you gotta go through something, you know? God gotta make us weak so that he can talk to us. We be walking around on this high horse. And we gotta go and figure it out. And life starts happening. We have nowhere else to turn. And he's there. One day, a CO knocks on your door, your cell, and brings you to the hall. Another thing we failed to mention was the deceased was a CO. She had friends in there. Why did they bring you to the hole, and how long were you there for?
Honestly, I never got a reason on why I went to the hole. It was early morning. Everybody was just getting up. We got a knock on our cell, and they came in there and they were checking the water temperature on the sink. They left out. They came back like 2 minutes later, and they was like, "Hendon, pack up." And I was like, "Pack up." They're like, "Yeah, pack up." So I packed my stuff, and I overheard them talking, saying that I was going to the hole. And I just started crying because, like, I've never been through a situation like this. So I've seen it on movies, but why am I going to the hole? What did I do? They never told me what I did. And honestly, it was like being in there, the higher up people, they feel like they're God. There's no questioning. There's no asking questions. There's no attitude. There's no nothing. Don't talk to me. You go into the hole, and that's it. She took me down to the hole. They took everything. Took my tablet, my books. All I had was a Bible, and a mattress and a cover. And I was in the hole for 2 months. Like I said, it was people in there that clung to me. My story spread it throughout the whole entire jail. So people was coming up to my door. I literally was balled up in a ball, sitting up against the wall. Like I wouldn't move.
22
And
years old.
and people was coming up to my door checking on me. Like the inmates that were able to be out and walk around. They would come up, check on me, and they would, ask if I wanted to call somebody off their tablet, and they would slide me their tablet so I could make a phone call to my mom. And when I would get in contact with my mom, she was going crazy because she haven't heard from me in days. And she was like, that's not like you. If I don't hear from you, I need to know something. And a lot of people die in there. Every day, people die in there. So she was just like really scared.
Your grandmother went to the hole too.
Yeah.
Same amount of time?
I'm not sure if it was the same amount of time because when we were in there, I wasn't allowed to talk to her. So I was just hearing stuff from my mom. But she did tell me that they took her to the hole, and I believe she slipped or something. She had to go to the hospital, and they drug her out on a cover. Like drug her out the jail, through the jail, and outside to the ambulance and on a cover.
Describe the hole. What does it look like? I feel like
It's cold. It's dark. This honestly, the hole is the hood. The cells, the pods, is the suburbs in the jail. The sinks are dirty. They're nasty. It's rusted. It's no mirror. The lights flicker on and off. It's literally cold. You got cold air blowing out. They don't care if you cold. You're gonna freeze. It's literally a hole in the wall. So you either get a high hole or you get a low hole. And it's literally just an open wall. And you can either put your mattress on there or you can sleep on the floor. And the cell that I was in, it was a high wall, and I wasn't climbing up there. It's like 2 steps for you can put your foot in this one, put your foot in that one, and you got a big old step that you got to take to get up there. And I just left my mattress on the floor, and I was in the corner.
2 months. Is that when you felt God speak to you?
No, I felt God speak to me after that.
It's unimaginable. It really is. It's unthinkable that you could even survive something like this. But you did. What was it like seeing your daughter for the first time?
It was such a great feeling. I was like overwhelmed. When I hugged, well, I was hiding from her. She came upstairs. I hid in the closet. She saw my grandma first, and she just hold on to my grandma. And then I came like out the closet from behind the clothes. And at first she didn't recognize me because I lost so much weight. My skin complexion changed. My hair not done. She just stared at me for a minute. And then she finally ran to me and just hugged me, and we was hugging each other, and we both was crying. And it was just like, it was, I'm sorry, it was a great feeling. It was just like giving birth all over again, meeting a little girl.
Amazing. You still carry a weapon?
No,
Do you think that you made the right decision that day?
I do. Now I do. It took a lot of talking to, because at first I didn't. I'm not a killer. I don't hurt people. I try to help people as much as I can. But it took a lot of people, even my pastor, to tell me it was either your life or hers, and you did what you had to do.
They say that being in the box, people go a little crazy in there. Did you ever feel yourself go crazy in there? Or like you were slipping in your
I
mind?
did. I literally was in there talking to myself, writing to myself. I have all the letters and papers that I wrote at home. I kept rewriting and writing and writing over and over again that day, play by play, everything that happened. I wrote it down a million times. I was writing out, like, how I'm gonna be when I come home, what me and my daughter gonna do when I get home, writing, talking to myself. Like, you do go crazy in there. And suicidal thoughts come in. You hear voices, you really hear voices, like that's real. The suicidal thoughts, because you're in this room by yourself. In the first 3 weeks, you're literally in a cell by yourself. You don't have a tablet. So it's just that. And then if the workers don't come to work, you have to be in that cell all day until there's employees on the floor. And you can be in there for days or weeks at a time. And you don't come out that cell.
How are you different now than you were when you went in? What did you say changed about you? Like, either what did you gain about yourself or what did you lose about yourself?
I lost my just being nice, a nice person. Like now, if something happened that I don't feel like is bringing me peace or positivity, I'm done. I don't give chances. I'm very nonchalant to things. And I hate that I'm that way, because that's not me. I have friends, who go through things, or someone passed away, and I just feel like, sorry to hear that. And that's not me. But I've became a very nonchalant person, I don't care. If you're not serving me no purpose, I want you out of my life. If you're not making me happy, I want you away from me. But I am a very strong believer in God now. And that's what I think is a good thing about me. And now I look at life totally different. And now I see, because I went through it, that life could be took away from you at any second. So now I choose to live my life how I want. So every day is going to be a great day for me. No matter who want to be around, who want to be involved, who want to be in it, me and my daughter is going to make it the best day we can, because I don't know when it's going to get took away from me again.
If you could go back to that day, what would you do differently?
Knowing what it is, or what it was, that I walked into an ambush, I wouldn't even went. I would have stayed at home. I would have convinced my mom to just go get her, leave. Don't even go in. I wouldn't have never even went.
Any regrets?
Honestly, no.
There's something you could tell your younger self, what would it be?
If you ever get put in a situation like that, defend yourself. Choose your family and fight. And if you are able to run, run.
What does your grandmother say about all of this? I'm really curious.
Well, now my grandmother is in a nursing home with dementia. So I'm not sure if this situation put her in that predicament. I know when we first came home, she talked about it a lot. It still hurted her because she wasn't even in there. She don't even know why she got put in jail. We don't know why she got put in jail. So I'm not sure if that situation, just the trauma and everything and dealing with everything in the jail is what caused her to come home and go through what she's going through now.
My name is Chris Styles. This is Trappin Anonymous. Let's get it.